Hello, my name is Julie Raver Haggard. I am a member of the class of '93 from Marysville High School and am currently one of 9 alumni members that represent the Homer Hanson Restoration Committee. For those of you who may not know, the original build of our stadium was started in 1935. However, due to the lack of funding, the project stalled. In 1939, an outcome of a WPA project, the stadium was completed. The limestone used for the walls was quarried in Marysville and the approximate area of 8th and Jenkins Street. The current location of our stadium was sloped, concreted, and stoned by workers that were paid 11 cents an hour. In the peak of its time, the amphitheater seating was known as the Rose Bowl in the Kansas and Nebraska area. Over the years, Mother Nature has not been kind to the stadium. Limestone has been falling out due to improper draining systems, amongst other natural causes. Our committee was formed in August of 2011, after the school had been notified that if serious work was not completed on the stadium within the next few years, the limestone walls would need to be removed due to safety concerns. After a few meetings, our committee decided we would like to seek professional help to guarantee the project was done correctly. We then sought out and hired an architectural firm, Walter P. Moore from Kansas City. With their guidance, several steps were placed into action. We have received both a Kansas State Historical Society and National Historical Society accreditation. After the initial scope of the work had been laid out, we sought bids from the project and accepted a bid from the Restoration and Waterproofing Contractors Incorporated from Kansas City, Kansas. With me today is our project manager, Sean Smoke. Sean, for our viewers, would you please explain the initial condition that you found our stadium in when you first arrived in Marysville?
Sure. Well, it's fairly typical for a structure of this age to show the signs of deterioration that it does. A lot of the stones have delaminated and of course cracked, and a lot of failed mortar joints in the wall. About 20% of the stone was to the point that have to be replaced.
What was the initial scope of the work?
Initially, we were going to 100% tuck point, remove all the mortar joints and replace them, and replace approximately 200 square foot of rebuild wall of stone, and then miscellaneous stone replacement throughout, and then of course patch the capstones.
At the point of bid, it was estimated the work described by Walter P. Moore that needed to be done would run approximately $140,000, but you told us up front that you would estimate at least another $50,000 more because you could already see that there were other issues that would probably come up. Since your company has started the work, what are some of the issues that are arising?
We found that a lot of the stones are not set in the wall very deep, so as we try to remove the bad rock that we know is obviously bad, other rocks around it were just falling out of the wall with it, and of course delaminated. Just behind the surface of the rock was severely deteriorated due to past repairs.
So in actuality, the committee's original goal of $250,000 is really where the project will most likely end up being. But that also includes the fees from Walter P. Moore, the Rosin Company, and a donation plaque, etc. At this point with the project raising $206,000, the committee is not wanting to spend more money than what we have. And your best guess, knowing that we are not holding you to this, how much of the project can we complete, and in doing so, finish what we can currently and correctly?
Our goal under the current contract would be to get all of the main area at the track done, including all of the seating area at this time. Yeah.
We chose you because we had seen some of your work. Could you tell our viewers some of the other projects? I know you've done the Atchison Stadium. What are some of the other projects that you've worked on?
Well, Atchison Stadium was very similar to this in nature. In fact, the stone very, very similar. They different drainage system in that, so the degree of deterioration wasn't what this is here. But yeah, we've done a lot of work for K-State, Nichols Hall being one of the big notable projects for us, complete parapet rebuild, a lot of stone replacement there. We're real proud of that one. We've also done a large restoration project at Fort Hays on one of their dorms there. And then just most recently, we've done the bell tower at Clay Center on the courthouse there. So yeah, very familiar with seeing some of these issues.
Exactly.
I think the problem has existed on this for quite some time. It's had many repairs done to it in the past, so it's hidden a lot of the underlying issues. So as those repairs are done, the wall looks aesthetically pleasing. It looks real good to the eye, but back behind that is where all the damage is occurring. And so the joints, of course, have looked much wider than they did originally because so much mortar has been put over the top of it. So on an initial appearance, when you first walk up and look at it, it looks to be fairly sound. So as soon as you remove that mortar, that's when it exposed it. So I don't think that I don't think it was something that anybody really could have known was in that bad of condition until that mortar was then removed. Yeah, so it's fairly typical to what we see on other projects. It may be a little bit past of, we're probably late to be doing this. This maybe should have been done 15, 20 years ago, I would say. As you can see on this portion of wall up here, this is the current condition of the wall. When we arrived on site, we've removed the mortar from the wall, and you can see that the stone has spalled and pieces have fallen off the wall. You can also see that on some of the stone, the depth of the set in the wall is not very deep. And of course, this is a wall that has had the stone replacement done to it and has been tuck pointed. Of course, we have not done the final cleaning on the wall yet, so the appearance will improve from there. But structurally, the wall is now sound and watertight. So we would expect, to get another 100 years out of what we've done here. This is a portion of the wall that was severely deteriorated to the point to where we had to completely dismantle it and rebuild this 100%. And of course, you can see the area that we've taken down completely, including the column, and around the column into the inner corner here has been completely dismantled and rebuilt. This is occurring in several locations on the project site right now. The stone that we're using is a cottonwood limestone and a silverdale. It's a blend of both. In order for us to keep the same look as close as possible, we've chose to go with a blend of the two limestones. The stone that's in the wall currently we can no longer quarry that stone. It's just not available anymore. So we try to match as close as possible to it. And the other thing that we're really trying to get back to on this project is we're really trying to restore the original historic look to the walls, to get back to that smaller mortar joint look, to really expose the texture of the stone and the pitch of the stone rather than just have this flat wall with a big mortar joint. We're trying to get back to the historical look of the original structure. As we got out to the project, our first step was to start removing the old mortar so we could then tuck point it. In that process, we realized that the stones, a lot of the stones, were only set just a couple inches, very superficial, set into the wall. So as we removed the mortar, a lot of the stones were just falling off and had a lot of deterioration towards the back side of them that was not seen. So after the mortar is removed, and we've removed the stones that are deteriorated, we then come back and replace those stones with new stones, or we reuse the stones that are able to be reused to try and save some of the historical integrity of the structure. And after that process is done, we then come back and tuck point, replace all of the mortar after all of the stone had been put in. And then we will come back and clean it with some chemicals and get all of the biological staining off of it, as well as clean up the new mortar. And then we will come back and patch the concrete band, the concrete capstones, and we will then clean those as well. This wall is a typical condition that we found when we arrived to the job site. As you can see, the mortar joints are still intact. very hard, and then you can see where the stone has spalled off of this. It's delaminated and fallen out due to the fact that this mortar is very hard against a softer stone. So this is typical as to what happens to the wall in that condition. And then as we get down the wall, we have removed the bad stone, surface stone, from the wall, and as you can see that there's still a lot of stone in here that has just crumbled and collapsed due to water, freeze thaw, and the hard mortar condition. So this area is the next area that they will come and rebuild, and it will look just like it does on the other walls that we've shown previously. The corners, as the walls expand and contract, as it heats up during the day, the walls expand, and so as they expand, they push on those corners. And so typically those corners will take the brunt of that movement. And the angular walls where they meet into each other, that's an area where as this wall tries to move, it runs into that wall, and so then it creates that cracking to happen. But mainly it's the harder mortar, and through the years different layers have been put on of hard mortar. I feel like that's probably the bigger issue throughout it. But through this project, it is 100% tuck point. So we're removing all of that harder mortar and replacing it with the proper mortar for this stone.
You have worked on many projects like this in the past, and this is one of many reasons why we chose your company. With that said, is there any other words of wisdom or advice you can give us and our audience when it comes to preserving this historical site?
Well, I think just a good maintenance program after this project is complete, just a good maintenance program to keep up with changing conditions, you know, as other problems arise, staying on top of those, so a small problem does not become a bigger problem later on. And I think just budgeting for future repairs is a good step.
The committee would like to thank each and every one of you that have already donated. As you can see, and as you have heard, we have a ways to go in order to fully complete the project in the correct measured fashion. We hope that you will prayerfully consider donating to this very worthwhile cause. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with myself or any other of the committee members listed on your screen.